is Laura from LIVEVISIONZ.com. I wanted to give you some information on negative traits of the signs. Now, just so you know, signs have what I call octaves. There's a high octave and a low octave every sign. So every sign and every planet has positive traits and negative traits, okay? It's up to the person as how they're used. What I'm about to give you, you may want to look at your chart to see where you have these signs, because like I said, look, this is my chart, right? We are not just one sign. We are, you know, my chart is all encompassing, the cusp of every house. This all means something, and where the planets fall all means something. And I'm going over the negative traits of the signs just to show you maybe you have, think of where your houses are in your chart. You know, these little slices of pie are the houses. So think of maybe in that area of your life, maybe if you're using any of these negative traits to maybe try to better yourself, okay? Now, I will tell you, wherever you have Pisces, mine's on my 7th house cusp, is where there could be confusion for you, where things could be a little not clear, where you may deceive yourself, or you could be deceived from others, okay? Wherever you have Aquarius is where things could be, you could have fluctuations in your chart, go up and down, you know. Where you have Virgo could be where you're more analytical, where you're really looking at every little thing, you know. Where you have Cancer could show maybe where the parts of you are really nurturing or more sensitive, more hypersensitive to things. Wherever you have Scorpio, whatever rules that house, if you have Scorpio ruling a certain house, it could mean that this is an area where there's a lot of ups and downs. You know, it could be that you have a lot of highs and a lot of lows in that house, you know. So anyway, these are just giving you an example. Whatever house is ruled by Aries, you could find more maybe arguments, more debates, you know, in that house it rules, or more friction, you know. Whatever house rules Taurus, you could be more fixed in your thinking, more stubborn, less willingness to change. Wherever you have Leo could be where you're going to shine, you know, where you may stand out, or whatever you're noticed in, okay? Pay attention to the 12th house ruler, because this could be where you also have hidden enemies, where, you know, pay attention to what sign is in that 12th house, you know. Pay attention to what sign you have Libra. This could be the house in which you're dealing with other people, or you want fairness or balance. You know, pay attention to the house in which you have Capricorn. You could be stubborn. You could be maybe a workhorse in that house. You could be very serious with that house that it's in. But anyway, I'm going to now get into, just so you know, so you kind of know what these rulers of the houses are, and I'm going to go through the traits of each sign, the negative traits, so you can figure out what house yours is in and maybe where you need to work on, because let's face it, none of us are perfect. And I'm going to stress for those people who feel the need, who don't really know about astrology and don't know that you're not just one sign, that you're many signs, and we are built like a big puzzle, okay? So there's not just one facet of us. There's many facets of us. So what you need to do is look in your chart and perhaps look at what house some of these signs are in to maybe think if you do this in certain areas of your life. Perhaps if you're, you know, maybe negative in one area, or you're using it as a negative octave, you know, that house. Okay? So that being said, so I don't want negative comments about, that's not me, because I'm not referring, not everybody uses their sign to the negative octave. But what I'm trying to do is give you negative aspects of each sign so you can look at the houses that those signs rule in your chart. And when I talk about ruling, I mean cusp. When I talk about cusp, I'm talking about, here, wait, let me go here. All right, you see here, I have Virgo let me go here, on the cusp of my 1st house, right? On here, I have Virgo on the cusp of my 2nd. On here, I have Libra on the cusp of my 3rd. You see that? Okay, so those are the cusps. So you're going to see what sign is on the cusp and see if you display any of these traits within that house that it's in. Aries. Well, Aries can be they're the most impatient sign in the zodiac. And I know, because I'm an Aries sun, and sometimes I have zero patience, and I have to really learn patience. It's difficult for me, I will tell you. Sometimes I grasp things quickly. I want things done. When an Aries tells you to do something, especially if you have an Aries boss, just beware, because they don't mean they need it done tomorrow, next week. They mean yesterday. So when they ask you to do something, mean now. So if you're kind of like, oh, I'll get to it, you're going to really piss off probably your boss, because when an Aries asks you to do something, they're not meaning yesterday. Everything with them, they do not have patience. Everything that with them is like today. Now, let's get going. Let's do this, you know. They have a lot of energy, okay? So they have a tendency to leap before looking. So they may get into things quite easily and not really think of the consequences. And it's almost like, you ever heard that term, shoot and ask questions later? That's Aries. Because they may get into things and do things on impulse and then later go, oh my God, you know, maybe I shouldn't have done that. They could be aggressive, argumentative. Do not challenge an Aries person. And again, you're not all one sign, just so you know. But if you challenge a person with strong Aries, they're not going to back down from an argument. You know, they actually kind of like debates, you know, and, you know, or a fight or something. They're not really ones who back down, nor do they have fear. They don't have fear. They can be pushy. They can be angry easily. They also forgive easily, but they have a short wick. Let's put it that way. And they're known to be having this self-confidence about them, you know, which is great, but sometimes they could be more self-centered because of this, you know, all about the self. And it's not in a selfish way, it's more in an innocent way, because sometimes if you notice somebody with Aries strong in their chart, they may say, oh, well, I did this, or they're talking about their day, and it doesn't occur to them to maybe say, well, what about your day? What's going on with you? They're just not thinking, you know. They're known as the children of the zodiac, so they could sometimes you know, not think before acting or speaking sometimes, and they could get into things quite quickly, you know. So, you know, if you have Aries ruling your 8th house, you could be intimate quite quickly in a relationship. You could be aggressive. You could be really assertive when it comes to lovemaking or love. But that's not always bad. But some of their negative traits are argumentative, maybe a little bit about control, impatient, looking before leaping, pushy, aggressive, and impatience is huge. You know, I know, even me, I have to work on that. It's horrible with patience. Okay, so Taurus. Taurus is the sign of, they're stubborn, they're fixed in their thinking, and a lot of their problems sometimes, the negative side of Taurus is that, you know, they do not change their mind. They're not open to sometimes other views, you know, points of view. They are fixed in what they feel and what they think, and they do not deviate from that, you know, which could make somebody a bit closed-minded. Depending on the house it's in, if it's in one house that, you know, it benefits you, sometimes this could be detrimental, especially if it's in a relationship, you know. So, what else? And, you know, they could be slow to make decisions. They could be very, like maybe you ask your Taurus person, I want to do this. And they're like, well, let me think about it. And you're like, well, especially if you're with, you know, somebody with strong Aries, and they're like, yeah, I want to go for it, I want to go for it. And you got Taurus going, no, let's think about it, let's make it sure. I want to look at it forward, sideways, and backwards. Aries could get very impatient with this. So Taurus is like, they want to look at things from every single angle before acting. One thing with Taurus, they do hold their feelings and emotions back. They're very conservative with that. They could be possessive and jealous, okay? But I always say, you know, it's like, don't poke the zoo animals if you don't want them to react, okay? That's the same thing with Taurus. Taurus can hold a lot in, a lot in, a lot in, and all of a sudden they can get so pissed off, they can get into a rage. They have a horrible temper. If you really, really want to test somebody, which I don't think you want to do, but they can have a really horrible, bad temper. They can be, like I said, possessive, jealous. So those are pretty negative traits, I would say. What else do I have in here? Nope, I got it all. So that is Taurus. So wherever you have Taurus in your chart, look to see, is this an area of your life where you're a bit possessive, jealous, you know, not seeing things clearly because you choose not to look at the other person's point of view. Narrow-minded thinking. Do you get into a rage? Are you a little jealous? So look at that in your chart and see if you have any of those negative traits. Now, Gemini. Gemini's one negative thing about Gemini, which is it's in some ways a blessing and in some ways it's not, because they're always seeking knowledge, right? And their mind goes like this, you know. They can get bored so easily. So if you have some of the negative traits of Gemini is because they get bored easy, you know, they tend to, they're really good at saying what people want to hear. They're really good at wording things in a way. They make great salespeople, okay? But this would mean that sometimes they're really good at maybe not saying the truth, okay? And because Gemini is a sign that doesn't, and they're not known to be like liars, you know, I want to say from the calls that I get, I must say that because their restlessness and they're a very sexual sign like Scorpio, they're known to maybe have more than one girlfriend and maybe not be honest about that. They're known to be restless in relationships. They're known to, they get bored so easy, and once that one person is conquered, they're on to the next person, so it's hard to settle down. Gemini can lack depth sometimes. Like, they always want to stay on the surface of something, and let's just talk about the facts, and but when it comes to deep, deep emotions, they're so restless, they've already probably moved on. And not that they're not capable of deep emotions, it's just, they're so intellectual. They're the type of sign that they need a partner who is also intellectual. And like I said, their biggest downfall is that they get bored so easy. You know, they're restless. So this doesn't play good when it comes into relationships. It depends on what house it's affecting in your chart. Now, if it's in your career houses, this could be great because it means that you're always looking for knowledge. You're always looking to improve your career. You're always looking for, you know, to go ahead. But if this is affecting like a relationship house, like the 7th or the 5th or the 8th house, which is, you know, deep intimacy, this could be a problem, you know. Okay, so Cancer. Cancer, sometimes Cancers can be hypersensitive. And I know that some of you are going to be like, I'm not that way, and I'm going to get negative comments. But it's okay. Cancer is where, in your chart, where you may be more sensitive, where you could be actually hypersensitive, like super emotional. You know, I want to say you guys can be passive-aggressive is a negative trait. You know, when you tell somebody, so what's wrong? And they're like, nothing's wrong. I'm fine. And your partner says, well, are you sure nothing's wrong? Because it seems like something's wrong. And they're like, no, that's okay. 3 days later, they're like, you know what you did the other day? You know, you really pissed me off because you did this, and this, you know what I mean? And this could be an issue because they tend to be passive-aggressive. They'll hold stuff in and bring it up later. That, and they tend to hold on to things for a long time. So let's say that they're, you know, old wounds from the past, they tend to be nostalgic, so they'll think about things that maybe have hurt them, and it's hard for them to get over old wounds. So let's say if somebody hurt them, it may take them a long time to get over this, even a breakup. They can be clingy, so it's hard for them to move forward. It could take a long time with Cancer. One other thing that I would say, Cancer can resort to emotional manipulation in relationships. And what does this mean? This means that sometimes, let's say your Cancer, you know, they may do things to try to manipulate an outcome. Let's put it that way. So let's say that you're doing I'm just making this up as I go. So let's say that you're planning a guy's night, okay? And the guy's night is a bachelor party with strippers, and your Cancer girlfriend does not want you to go. She does not like this. She doesn't want you going. So she may say to her guy, well, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to go to this other club and with my friends, and, you know, she may pick like the sluttiest friend she has just to make a point, and say that she's going to this other club, and if it's okay for him, then she's going to do it too, knowing that her guy does not want her to maybe go to this particular place, and she may actually, you know, go out of her way to look extra good to make him so upset. I'm just giving you an example to maybe do reverse psychology on him to get him to not go, you know. Another thing, like, so that would be more like emotional manipulation. It's kind of like, where you don't tell somebody that, you know, you figure, well, I can't really say they can't do it, so I'm going to do something to try to get them to not do what they're doing. You know, it's like you're creating an action to get a reaction out of that person, and the reaction that you're wanting. Okay, so Cancers can be quite good at emotional manipulation. They're very, and not that they're bad. I'm giving you the negative side of each sign. So look at the house that it's in your chart. Do you do this in the house that it's in? Are you known to do this? Cancer, like I said, could be very sensitive, hypersensitive, emotional, very moody. Can be where you may feel, you know, maybe emotions could have highs and lows in the house it's in. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so those are the negative traits of Cancers. And no, I do not want hate mail. I'm not like that. I'm just giving you the negative side. Not everybody operates from the negative side of a sign. But I have to say that each of us, in some way, shape, or form or another, have used the negative sign in our placements in our chart at one time or another. So for you to say, anybody to say, I'm never negative, I never do any of these things, is a complete and total utter lie, I have to tell you. Because even me, I will admit, you know, I have some negative sides that I use, but I'm aware of. And I'm like, I need to overcome this, or I need to not use that negative side of that sign. Okay? All right. Virgo can be critical. You know, their whole job on this planet is to look at details and to find the flaws in things. Well, this could be bad if it's in a relationship and your partner feels like, oh my God, you're picking my rear end apart. Like everything I do is under a microscope, you know? So this could be a huge issue. They could be very blunt in the things they say. You know, their analytical nature, they could just, but their job, let's face it, Virgo's job on Earth is to find flaws and make them known so they are corrected, because they're kind of like perfectionists, right? Well, it's hard dating somebody sometimes that's like this, because it can make the person feel inferior or like they're not good enough. And so Virgo types, especially if you have a house that's Virgo, that would deal with relationships, or you as a person, you need to be very careful that what you say, you know, isn't so hurtful or so blunt like a sledgehammer that you don't hurt others in the things that you may be saying. So, and I will be honest, I have a Virgo ascendant. I had to learn this too. But my Cancer moon helps me out with that a little bit, because I can tune into people emotionally and be like, okay, you know, I need to not, there's a way to say things and there's a way not to say things, you know. So I had to learn this too. So sometimes Virgo can be very, very blunt, you know. And the negative side too, in a way, it's a very giving and positive side of Virgo. They love to be needed. Okay, which isn't bad, but it's bad if you love to be needed so much that you attract people who take your kindness for weakness. So that is, you got to watch that. Another thing is what else did I have in here? You tend to try to rein your emotions in and not show all your emotions. You don't want to show all your cards on the table a lot of times, Virgo, and they may appear cold and aloof. And really, they're not. They're very giving people, but I think because of the analytical nature, they're more like, well, is it okay for me to show emotion? Is it okay for me to put the cards on the table and my heart on my sleeve? Virgo is not the type to put the heart on the sleeve, okay? So you may find, oh, this person's cold or unemotional, and that's not the case. I have a Virgo ascendant. I will say that a lot of times, for me, I'm more like, I do analyze all the time. And I know sometimes I have to stop, you know, and I have to say to myself, okay, is this okay for me to, like, you know, can I trust this person? And two, if I'm all showing my cards, you know, am I going to get kicked in the teeth? You know what I mean? So, yeah, especially with relationships that I've been burned in. So I'm very much like this, you know. So it could be positive, but then and again, it could be negative, because people could see you as cold, like you don't care. And that's so not true. Another one is, neat freaks, you know. Virgos can be crazy with the cleaning and the organizing and making everything, trying to be perfect. You know, the Martha Stewarts of the Zodiac, right? And I know this is huge for me, because as I get older, the more stuck I get in my ways, And if people come to my place or something, I will, like, my sister's like, you're following me around fixing, like, if somebody just puts their coat on the chair or something, I'm following them, like, trying to hang it up. You know, if somebody puts something on the table and it leaves a watermark or something, I might try to write it right away, wipe it off. You know, it's like a compulsion. It really is. It's a sickness, probably. But as I get older, it seems to get worse, you know, like, and I always think, like, if I have a closet that's not organized, I'm like, well, I need to rip that apart and just kind of reorganize everything and make everything, you know, we're like the weird, freaky people of the zodiac who will, like, organize the closet by color or pants, tops, and then organize by colors. And we could be a little nuts. So I will say that's something I had to, and especially if you want to live with somebody, if you have this Virgo cleaning compulsion thing and you're living with another person and they leave, like, something on the table, well, this could be really annoying to somebody like me, you know, like, oh my God, like, I feel like I'm cleaning after people. I hate it, you know, but my thing is just put it away, you know, but it could be hard when you live with someone, just saying. So if you live with people who are Virgo ascendant, I'm sorry, I'm that way too. I don't know what to tell you. And Virgo people, find yourself a neat person. It'll make things so much simpler. That's all I gotta say. Okay, you can have high standards too, Virgo. Virgo is like the perfectionist, so a lot of times they want to, you know, you hold yourself to high standards, okay? So sometimes you may want to hold other people to those standards, and maybe sometimes those people don't reach them, you know? So you could be a little bit too critical of what you expect from another person, you know? Well, why aren't they doing this? If I were to do this, I would do it this way. And this was a hard time for me too, because I would say, well, I would have done it this, and this. And I would have, like, you know, not done this half-assed and backwards. I would have done the right way, you know? And sometimes you can't put how you would be onto everybody else, because that's just, especially in relationships, I'm just saying, look in your chart, see where you have Virgo, see where you're really critical and how it affects you. Now we're on to Libra. Good old Libra. Negative side of Libra, they could be wishy-washy. And the reason is, you know, I think that they strive so hard for balance and harmony that they don't want to rock the boat. They can't stand, you know, anything that's argumentative. They don't like confrontation. Libras can't stand, you know, an environment that is not very harmonious and peaceful, okay? So let's say Hugh has your Libra husband or boyfriend. Am I fat? Nope. Even if he felt like you were gaining 50 pounds, that dude would lie his ass off because he does not want to fight. You know, or even if you were to say, and this is a bad thing too about Libra though, I will say this, because Libra sometimes will white lie just to avoid a fight. So if you really wanted input from your Libra, and or person who has a lot of Libra in their chart, and you wanted honesty from them, sometimes they think, well, this may cause, and I'm not saying nothing, I'm just gonna, and then they may do something totally different, which makes you realize that they weren't being honest, you know? And I have a lot of clients who are dating Libras, you know, and they say, well, he says he wants me, but he doesn't. And another bad thing is Libra, let's face it, you're on this earth to be in a relationship. You're on this earth to learn balance and harmony and create balance and harmony in others. You're meant to partner in this life, okay? So a lot of Libras do not like being alone, okay? So sometimes if you're miserable in a relationship, you'd rather wait until somebody else comes along before you dump the person that you're miserable with at the present time. And that kind of sucks, because if you're at least honest with the person, hey, it's not working out, this would be better karma for you, and, you know, you wouldn't be as confusing. I want to say a lot of times for Libra, Gemini too, it could take a long time before you settle down, before you actually decide on a person. But once you do, I see longevity. That would be more, I think that you could be faithful. The big thing is you don't like fighting, you don't like disharmony, you want balance, and a lot of times you will bite your tongue in order to keep the peace. And this could be good sometimes, but it could also be really bad, because sometimes you could outright be not honest with your partner, or maybe even with yourself, okay? So that is the negative side of Libra. So look in your chart, see what house you have Libra in, and see if you do this, or see if there's something out of balance in that house. Okay. Scorpio. Well, negative side of Scorpio, you could be jealous, possessive. Whatever house rules Scorpio, you're going to see really highs and lows. You know, there's either it's a great, really great, intense, you're going to see intensity for sure, or you're going to see a lot of like dips and where things are really low. You take a long time to forgive. You hang on to stuff. Scorpio, if you cheat on a Scorpio, especially their descendant is Scorpio, they're not going to forgive. They won't ever forget. Trust me, they will remember forever, especially if their moon is in Scorpio too. You know the Alanis Morissette song, You Oughta Know? I think was it You Oughta Know? It's not fair to deny me of the cross I bear that you gave to me. I don't know that song. I think it's called You Oughta Know. But anyway, she is a Scorpio moon, and that song really shows her moon, man. So, means that she's not over what someone screwed her over. She's just not over it, and she's pissed. So, they don't let things go. It takes a long time for them to let something go, especially if you cheat on a Scorpio or their descendant or ascendant or some moon. They're not going to forget that quite easily. So find out the house that's ruling your Scorpio. You may have ups and downs. You may be jealous. You could be possessive, compulsive. You could be obsessive. You know, you could be secretive, and you could lash out. So I had one client who I just knew. I read her right away, and I said to her, she was a Scorpio and had a heavy Scorpio chart, and she was dating somebody who had a lot of planets in Aquarius. And I said to her, look, don't call this dude anymore. She was obsessive about this guy and like very possessive. And I said, look, give him his space. You don't give him his space, you're going to be done. He's not going to call you no more. No. I go, look, something tells me you called him over 4 times already. Well, yeah, I called like maybe 6 because I called 3 times yesterday, 3 times today. So this is obsessive behavior. No, compulsive. Can't let it go. And the reason is Scorpio is ruled by, Scorpio is what's hidden, what's secretive, what's underneath. It's a lot of times Scorpio feels the need to find what's hidden. They want to dig deep. They're like, you know what? If I can't see it, I'll dig for it. I'll find it. You know, and sometimes they say, be careful what you wish for, you know, because Scorpio is like, they're great at police work, detective work, all this stuff, and they do not, trust is not given, it is earned. So, you know, which can be positive or negative, I guess, but they're the type, like a dog, what did they say, a dog with a bone. They will dig deep, they will find it, I'm gonna dig, I'm gonna find my answer, damn it. I'm going to get it, and I don't care what happens, I will not let this go until I find what I am looking for. Which could be great for detective work, for medicine, for research, for anything like this, you know. But if it's in a relationship house, or on your ascendant, descendant, 5th house cusp, or something like this, 8th house, well, if it's 8th house, you could be really intense sexually. But any of the other houses, relationship-wise, you could be possessive, jealous, you know, see if you have, you know, any of these negative characteristics. On a positive side, Scorpio could be very faithful, you know, want that mind, body, soul connection. You want this deep, special intensity just between the two of you. It's like just you both against the world, you know. So, so that's a positive side, but a lot of sometimes there's some negative aspects as well. And I want to say one thing, the more Scorpio feels passionately about something, the more they are not afraid to fight for it, or that's where they can lash out. And you may feel like you've been stung by the scorpion stinger. I'm just saying. Okay, next one we have, I know I did Sagittarius somewhere. Okay, I did Sag, but I don't know where I put it. Okay, Sagittarians. Sagittarians could be, they're restless. You know, they love to be out and about, love nature, love to go here, love to go there. So if you want to possess a Sag, good luck. That ain't gonna work. Sagittarius could even be restless, like, I don't wanna You know, I don't want to sit home all day. I want to be out. I want to, like, even in a relationship, may not want to commit right away because they're like, you know, a little restless. I'm not sure. I want to do my own thing. I want to be free to go where they love freedom. Just put it that way, okay? The one negative trait, they could be overly confident. Let's face it, they're ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of gifts and luck. So they may feel this over sense of confidence about themselves, which, you know, can make them not see things clearly. I know somebody who's a Sagittarius who had some money issues, and now this person has gotten rid of their money issues and things are better. And they're already thinking about buying a vehicle. And I said, oh, I don't think this is a good idea. You know, I'm not sure about this. You know, they're like, oh, no, I can do it. I can do it. That's that overconfident nature, which may, I hope it doesn't, but it may bite her in the butt later with these payments. They could be superficial, okay? So, you know, they could care about their appearance and what they have and their status, you know. They could be irresponsible, meaning that sometimes, you know, like I said, they look at the glass half full instead of half empty, which is great. But irresponsible meaning like they're the life of the party. They're, what do you call it? They want to have a good time, you know. So sometimes they may be overly confident, like irresponsible meaning like, you know, it's okay. I can spend a couple hundred this weekend on partying, you know, and I can cover my bills later. Don't worry. I know I'll get clients. It's all good. And they're thinking they're overly confident. They're not really thinking clearly that they may not be able to get those clients to cover those bills. And partying this weekend may not be the right thing to do, you know. They could take foolish risks, okay? They can also be tactless sometimes. So they may, even though they're known as the positive sign and funny as hell and make everybody laugh, sometimes they could be tactless. So they can make, maybe they're making a joke, but at somebody else's expense, okay? So sometimes they're not always tactful in the things that they say, all right? What else? And basically that's it. So look in your chart where you have Sagittarius and see if you have any of these traits in that house that it resides in. Capricorn, well, you guys are known as the workhorse of the zodiac. So what I've seen just is a lot of times you guys don't have balance. You know, you guys are work, and family life, not so much, you know. You think your self-worth, a lot of times with a lot of Capricorns, it's defined by their net worth. You know, they could be really concerned with their status and how they're seen in the world and what car they drive and what house they have and their bank accounts. You know, what do I have? You know, so self-worth could be really important to them. You could be stubborn and selfish, you know. So you could be, you know, especially with, I want to say a job or you're thinking you could just be stuck in, because don't forget Saturn is, it's like a rock, right? It's stability, security, all of this. So these things could be important to you. But the reason I think stubborn is because you're always looking at probably business decisions and executive decisions as far as the best way to do things. So this is important to you. Some people may say they appear aloof, superior, and snobbish. And I want to say this. I think there's a reason for that. And that is because usually Capricorn is a sign where you could have been, look at your chart in your signs in your chart and see where you have Capricorn. And in that house it's in, did you feel overburdened with responsibility at a young age in that house? Or that you couldn't be a child in that house? So you could have felt very burdened. And that's why when you're an adult, you're so serious and so, you know, you're so concerned about accomplishment that you know, superiority could be a goal for you, which you feel like I need to achieve because if I don't, I know the flip side, you know? And some people may think that you're snobbish. I don't think it's that, but I think that you don't let emotions get in the way of logic and you're more as if, and there's a balance issue there too, because a lot of Sagittarius don't really like to, Capricorns don't like to tap into their emotional side. They try to keep things on a very like executive level, sterile, you know, I have to do this because it needs to be done. And you're all concerned with the stability and security part of it. And I always say that the best Capricorns would make the best HR people, human resource, because letting go of employees, they don't take things personal. They're kind of like, they leave emotion out of executive decisions. And this could be a problem because sometimes their life could be out of balance when they're talking about emotion. So they could feel like, you know, I don't want to talk about my emotions. I'd rather just drown myself in my job. I'd rather just deal with what I got to deal with, you know. So this could be, you know, a part of Capricorn that they need to invest in, you know. So see what house it's in for you. I mean, Capricorn rules my 5th house. So sometimes I may enjoy, 5th house is what? Things you enjoy, right? So I enjoy things, I enjoy my job. I enjoy work. You know, Capricorn rules work, workaholic. And I can be a workaholic. But in dating, I could be very serious. I could be maybe too serious. I could be maybe, people may think I'm snobbish because I'm always looking at things in an executive way, like, well, is this good for me? I don't know, you know, I'm not gonna, and with my Virgo ascendant, not wanting to let feelings to the surface, and the same thing with dating. I don't get too caught up in the feelings right away, even though I have a Cancer moon, but I have South Node there. So you see how you put it all together when you're doing a chart, and you see a whole person and how they act and react to different situations in their life. So just see where you have Capricorn and see if you do any of these negative traits and maybe be aware of them. Okay, so now we're at Aquarius. What is Aquarius known for? Well, they're known to be, well, they're the humanitarians of the zodiac, right? But they're known to be very detached. You know, they're mental thinkers. They're thinkers, not really feelers. And they, I want to say, can be unpredictable. Inconsistent. They do things on the whim, you know. You could be stopping and starting things at the drop of a dime, you know. Also stubborn, you know. It's a fixed sign, so you could be stubborn, as we say in Italian. Testa dura, you know, like very not wanting to change your thinking or how you feel. But they are known to think outside the box, so that's a good thing. And they could be aloof and quite a bit eccentric. So if you're looking for, look to see where you have Aquarius, right? And let's face it, mine's in my 6th house, right? Well, I'm an astrologer, right? So this is very eccentric type of work. I can be a bit detached. I always think outside the box. I'm always looking for better ways of doing things at the job, you know. Things were very up and down in my work sector, big time. A lot of stops and starts, and I think this had to do with me needing to be self-employed. You know, and I was seeing a lot of people being screwed over in the workplace where I was working, and it bothered the crap out of me, you know, where I would hire an attorney. I'm like, this is bullshit. Why do you know, people, I worked in a place that was a commission industry where they didn't want to pay people what they owed them, and I felt this was BS, and nobody wanted to really rock the boat and the job. But I didn't give a crap because I had Jupiter and Mars in my 6th. So I was like, you know what? This ain't happening. It's not right. I don't care. And I needed to be self-employed. You know, I have very strong beliefs and fixed in my thinking about the way work should be run and, you know, how things should be. And again, you know, when you're working for somebody else, sometimes you can't be like that, you know. However, usually Aquarius is a sign that gets along with everybody, right? But if there's something, they'll be the first to stand up if something is wrong. They'll be the first to stand up if there is not fairness and equality in the workplace, you know. So just so you know, I'm not a troublemaker. I wasn't a troublemaker at my job, but when there was not equality or fairness and I felt like people were being screwed over with thousands of dollars a month, yeah, I said something. Damn straight. So, okay. So look where you have Aquarius. Are you humanitarian in that house? Are you eccentric? Are there ups and downs? Do you have, like, let's say you have Aquarius in your 4th house cusp. Is home very up and down for you? Did you move a lot as a child? Did you, like, what do you call it? You know, I'm trying to think what other house. 7th house. If Aquarius is on the 7th house cusp, are you in relationships? Do you get in them and out of them quite quickly? Do you have a lot of stops and starts? Do you leave and they don't even see your little brake lights? That, you know, they don't even see you just see footprints going to the door. There's a Dear John letter that you split. You know, that can happen with Aquarius in the 7th, just saying. So look to see in your chart where you have Aquarius and see if you have some of these maybe negative traits, okay? Now, Pisces is known to be on the negative side, a bit spacey. Creative on a good, you know, on that positive end, they could be very creative, really creative and very spiritual, okay? On the negative side, spacey and confused. escapist type of energy, you know, oversensitive and a little bit lazy. And I'm going to give you an example. People with Pisces energy could be super creative. Let's talk about musicians, singers, people who are just creative, let's say musically. And how many of them resort to drugs or alcohol to tune out of life? Right? Okay, let's say Pisces are so sensitive too to the other side. They are the sign that is closest to the other side. So earth plane is very painful to them. They feel, you know, don't forget it's a psychic sign. So they could be very empathic to other people's feelings, and they could feel pain of others, and they internalize this pain. And this is why the earth plane is very painful for them, which why they can turn to drugs, alcohol, wanting to escape life, you know, I don't want to be here kind of thing. And that's where they daydream. Pisces is the daydreaming sign, where maybe sometimes you're like, yeah, you thinking, hello, you there? Were you away? I know you were here. You know, because sometimes people could space out and say, oh yeah, sorry, I was daydreaming for a second there. They may have Pisces on their ascendant, or maybe, you know, something like this, or their 12th. You know, see where you have, wherever you have Pisces in your chart could be a point of confusion for you because of Pisces rules spaciness, fog, you know, just where you're deceived by others or you deceive yourself, okay? So you want to see where you have Pisces in your chart, because on a low octave, some of these things can happen. On a very high octave, it could be very spiritual, very creative, very gifted as far as any of the creative abilities. Very gifted, maybe even psychically too. But I want to say oversensitive is key. Sometimes Pisces can be indecisive because they're internalizing and they pick up like on other people's energy like a sponge. And sometimes they mix this empathic nature that they have with others, and they're like, am I feeling them or myself? Or I don't know what to do. Should I or shouldn't I? So sometimes decisions could be a little bit tricky for them. They're like, do I do this or do I not? So the sign, whatever house you have Pisces, can be a point of confusion in your chart, okay? And just keep in mind, are you in that, you know, I want to say if it's in your 7th house, you could be confused about relationships, or you could feel a bit idealistic with relationships. You may look at the relationship for its potential instead of what it really is. If it's in your 8th house, are you extremely romantic? Are you always trying to escape and wanting to be like a Lifetime movie or a romance novel? You want your love life to be, you know? If it's in your 2nd house, are you confused about how to make some money? Are you not sure? Or do you make money in a creative way? Think about that. Pisces on the 10th house cusp, you know, either you do something creative or spiritual for your career, or you're just not sure. You're trying to figure it all out. Neptune, which is ruled by Pisces, on the ascendant can make you like a psychic sponge, but it can also make things very confusing for you. Okay? Well, anyway, I hope this was helpful to you, and leave a comment below and tell me what you think. And remember, look at your chart. We all have signs in our chart. See what rules what house for you, and if you do any of these things in that house. And look at some of the negative traits and see if you can overcome some of this, you know, to help you. And some traits can be negative in one house but positive in another. So keep that in mind. Like I said, the restlessness of Gemini, and Gemini who gets bored easy is great for career. It makes him wanting to do something more, okay? But it sucks for relationships because, you know, this would make somebody want to go from one person to the next or date many people at once, you know, just to keep themselves not so bored. In career, it could be a little bit bad because it could mean that one person, he gets so bored with each and every job, he just quits, and gets another one. So, but the Geminis that I have seen have been really intelligent people, like into medicine, or they love knowledge and they crave it. And the more that they need to learn, the more they love. So maybe you just need something that's really challenging to really get you interested to make, you know, something of a longevity for you to stick with. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. It's a really long video, and I'm sorry about that. But anyway, and yes, I'm wearing a hat because my hair, you know, was a mess today. It was sucked. I don't know. I was like, damn it, I'm just putting on a freaking hat. So anyway, let me know if you like this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. Leave a comment below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.